On the 3rd anniversary of our marriage, I found out I was pregnant. I was so happy that I couldn't wait to tell Julian the good news. However, not long after I left the hospital, a red coupe lost control and crashed into me. When I woke up again, I was already lying on a hospital bed. I had lost my child, while the other party only had minor scratches. After regaining consciousness, I received a call from Julian. I'll be on a business trip for the next few days. Take good care of yourself. After he hung up, I heard his voice coming from the next ward. Don't cry, my dear. It's all the other person's fault for not looking at the road. Didn't you always want to see the aurora? I'll take you there. I didn't expose his lie. I just felt completely exhausted, both physically and mentally. After being discharged from the hospital, I decided to get a divorce. On the day of my discharge, I received a call from Julian. Hello? Aren't you at home? Honey? I softly answered, I'm outside. I'll be back soon. His voice was excited, with a hint of something strange that he didn't even notice himself. Then I'll wait for you to come back. I brought you a gift from my business trip. After hanging up the phone, I looked at the photo of Julian and me on the screen, and an inexplicable feeling of annoyance welled up in my heart. I quickly changed the desktop wallpaper, then hailed a car and went home. When I got home, Julian had already prepared dinner. I looked at him, who was busy, and couldn't understand how he could act like a model husband in front of me while cooing sweet nothings to another woman outside. I suppressed my emotions and walked towards the dining table. The table was filled with all my favorite dishes. When Julian saw me, a big smile spread across his face. Honey, you're back. Go wash your hands and get ready to eat. Okay. After washing my hands and coming back, I sat down opposite Julian. He took out a small box from his pocket and pushed it towards me. Honey, this is a gift for you. I know a few days ago was our wedding anniversary, but I couldn't get away from the company. I looked up at him. So he knew it was our anniversary too. The gift Julian gave me was a necklace. It was very beautiful and dazzling. Even the packaging box was very delicate. But if I hadn't seen the photo the stranger posted on their WeChat moments, I might have been very happy. This necklace was in the lower right corner of the other person's photo. On the tray for holding jewelry, there were 3 words written, free gift area. My husband gave a gift to another woman to make her happy, and then gave me the free gift. I couldn't describe my feelings at this moment. Should I be glad that my cheating husband still remembered me in his heart, or should I be angry that he actually tried to fob me off with a free gift? I didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, Julian noticed that something was wrong with my mood. Honey, what's wrong? Who made you unhappy? These words were like a tiny spark falling into the center of explosives. All my anger erupted completely at this moment. I stood up and flipped the table over. All the prepared food fell to the ground, and Julian's clothes were covered with greasy stains. He seemed shocked. He stared at me in a daze for a long time without saying a word. After coming to his senses, Julian shouted, Evelyn, what are you going crazy for? Just because I didn't spend the anniversary with you. Do you have to flip the table and smash the bowls? I've already said nice things to you and given you a gift. What else do you want? Either we can keep going, or we get divorced. I met his angry gaze and nodded with a smile. Fine. Then let's get a divorce. Julian was stunned. He didn't expect me to say the word divorce so easily. After all, he knew better than anyone how much I loved him before. Crazy. Julian muttered under his breath, then turned around, picked up his phone and car keys, and slammed the door shut as he left. Julian didn't come back that night. I didn't know how we had come to this. We used to be so good. Julian and I were typical childhood sweethearts. We grew up together. I thought we would always be together. But in Julian's first year of high school, his father had an affair. After learning the truth, Julian's mother made a big scene. The final result was that the two got divorced, and Julian's mother transferred schools with Julian. We were forced to separate like this. The next time we met was after we graduated from university. We both applied for the same company. I was very happy to see him. And he was happy too. It was as if we had returned to the happy days of our school years. We both tacitly didn't ask each other about our lives in the past few years. I knew that not long after Julian left with his mother were married and had a younger brother who was 17 years younger than him. When we were kids, Julian once said that the happiest thing in his life was having a perfect family. But later, the family he was most proud of fell apart. When the interview reached the final round, only he, I, and another guy were left. That guy was quite outstanding. But unfortunately, his emotional intelligence was a bit low, so he was eliminated. When only he and I were left, he gave up with a high-sounding excuse. I passed the final interview and got the job offer. After that, I invited him to dinner, and he didn't decline. At the end of the meal, I finally asked my question. Why did you give the opportunity to me? He was stunned. Then his eyes became deep, as if he was thinking of something. Finally, he said, "There's no reason. I just thought your major was more suitable for this job opportunity than mine." From then on, we got familiar with each other again. We had dinner together after work, played games together when we were free, and climbed mountains together on weekends. Our relationship became closer and closer. I thought he liked me just as much as I liked him. So I confessed my love to him. That day, we stood on the top of the mountain. The wind blowing towards us ruffled the hair on his forehead, and his smile dazzled me. He accepted my confession and said, "Okay, then let's be together." We dated for a year, then got married, until now. During those days when I was lying in the hospital bed, I masochistically scrolled through the WeChat moments of that strange account one by one. Every moment of happiness that I thought was real found its true answer there. It turned out that on the day he gave me the job opportunity, he sent a message to her. "You said I don't know how to love, that I don't understand how much injustice girls face in this world. So today I gave a job opportunity to a girl. Will the gods see this and feel sorry for you? Giving you better opportunities?" On the day I confessed to him, he sent a message to her. "You said I don't know how to love, and that no one will love me. But today someone confessed to me. Does it mean that I made her feel my love? Now that I've learned to love, will you come back?" On the day we got married, he also sent a message to her. "I'm getting married today, but the bride isn't you. Since it's not you, then it doesn't matter who it is. I really wish you could be by my side. I really want to see you in a wedding dress. I wish we could stand on the stage together, receiving everyone's blessings and applause." There's still a lot more. During the 3 years of our marriage, he never forgot about her for a single moment. The 3-year marriage and relationship were like bubbles in the sun. They seemed colorful, but would disappear at the slightest touch. The next day, after arriving at the company, I went straight to the leader. I came straight to the point. "Olivia, I'm willing to go with you." Olivia was taken aback and asked in disbelief, "Have you thought it through?" Olivia was a senior executive in the company. But the boss was a scoundrel who gave all her achievements to his mistress. After this happened too many times, Olivia couldn't stand it anymore. She wanted to take some core members of our team and leave to develop in a new first-tier city on her own. And I was one of them. Previously, although I knew Olivia had good intentions for me and the development in the new first-tier city was definitely better than my prospects in this company, the thought of separating from Julian made me reluctant. Now it seems that men really do affect my speed of making money. I nodded emphatically. "Yeah. I'll go with you, sis. Weren't you reluctant to part with your husband? What happened that makes you willing to come with me now?" I smiled bitterly. "Yeah. He affects my money-making speed, so I'm planning to get a divorce." Hearing the first half of the sentence, Olivia nodded in agreement, but she was stunned after hearing the second half. Olivia was a smart person. She knew things were not simple. But she didn't ask further. "In 1 month, we'll leave in 1 month. Sort out your affairs within this month." I smiled and nodded in agreement. Oh, by the way, you still have annual leave that you haven't taken. You can either take it or ask HR to convert it into cash. Fill out the application form and come to me for a signature. And then when you come back from your annual leave, I'll find a reason to fire you. Put on an act, and you can get a severance payment. Hearing this, great joy welled up in my eyes. I rushed forward and gave Olivia a bear hug. Indeed, when one is frustrated in love, it can be lucky at work. But this joy didn't last long and was shattered by a phone call. A man who claimed to be a lawyer called me, saying that he would follow up on the car accident I had before. He was straightforward, saying that his client was willing to accept any compensation. I directly sent him my miscarriage diagnosis, various medical expenses, as well as written proofs of work loss expenses, nutrition expenses, etc. The lawyer was taken aback, not expecting me to be so well prepared. When I learned the truth in the hospital, I had already prepared for the divorce and the subsequent issues of this accident. Half an hour later, the lawyer replied that the compensation was acceptable, and his client requested a meeting. I informed Olivia and waited for them at the coffee shop downstairs of our company. When a man and a woman sat down opposite me, I could clearly see the woman's face. She smiled at me, reached out her hand, and said, "Hello, I'm Ava. I'm really sorry that I didn't check the vehicle before driving. I didn't know there was a problem with the braking system. I'm very sorry for what you've been through. I'll agree to all your conditions and compensation as long as they are within the scope of reasonableness and legality." She said she was sorry, but the look in her eyes when she looked at me had no sign of apology at all. Instead, she seemed a bit proud. I knew she must also know my identity. A woman's intuition is just so wonderful and accurate. I smiled and shook her hand, introducing myself, Evelyn. Then the lawyer sat down and started talking a lot, citing various laws and regulations, speaking very convincingly. Finally, he mentioned a figure, 118,000 yuan. I nodded to show my acceptance. It was even a little more than what I had calculated. At this moment, I think a man can be dispensable, but money is essential. Ava transferred the money to me in front of me, and I signed the letter of understanding. This matter was completely settled. After the lawyer left, she looked at me. "Miss Evelyn, where are you going? Do you need me to give you a ride?" I declined. "Thank you. My company is right nearby." She turned her head to one side and said with a smile, "How about waiting? My boyfriend is coming. Let him treat us to a meal." Just as she finished speaking, I heard a familiar voice. "My dear. I'm here." Ava and I stood up at the same time and turned to look at the person coming. When Julian saw my face, his expression changed instantly. I believe at this moment, he should understand the truth of the matter. In the evening, when Julian came back, I was cooking in the kitchen. He just stood at the kitchen door, looking at me without saying a word. I ignored his presence and only looked at him after bringing the last dish to the table. "Let's eat. We can talk after the meal." Julian walked to the table in silence, picked up his chopsticks but didn't start eating for a long time. "Honey, I'm sorry. I eat first," I interrupted him mercilessly. Julian still didn't move. He put down his chopsticks and just stared at me quietly. I ate as if there was no one sitting opposite me. After I was full, I looked at the man opposite me. "Tut tut." I couldn't help clicking my tongue. "It seems you really did have enough to eat outside. You haven't touched a single bite of the food at home." Hearing this, Julian's face changed drastically. He quickly picked up his chopsticks to eat, but I stopped him. "Don't force it. If you can't eat, don't eat." "No, honey. Listen to me. I have nothing to do with her." Before Julian could finish, I had already handed him the divorce agreement. Seeing the words divorce agreement, Julian swallowed his words. He looked at me in disbelief and stammered, "Honey, you want to divorce me?" I nodded. "Yes, otherwise should I continue to pretend to be blind and watch you to be affectionate?" I didn't. "Honey. Believe me. I have nothing to do with her now. You can't sentence me to death just based on your speculation. Julian was so anxious that his face turned red, as if he had really suffered a great deal of grievance and injustice. I sneered. Nothing to do with her now. What about before, like yesterday? Or those days when you lied to me by pretending to be on a business trip to accompany her to see the aurora? You know everything? Julian looked at me in shock. How could you know? Did she tell you? Impossible, she wouldn't say that. Even now, Julian was still trying to deceive me, thinking that as long as I didn't know, he could act as if nothing had happened. For the first time, I felt that my taste in men was so poor. How could I have fallen in love with such a hypocritical guy? When you were in the ward with her, I was in the next door ward. When you called her darling and coaxed her not to cry, I had just finished answering your call. When you said it was all my fault for not looking at the road, the anesthetic in my body hadn't worn off yet. During those days when you were accompanying her to see the aurora abroad, I could hardly even get out of bed and walk. So tell me, what should I keep you in this marriage for? Stop talking. Julian suddenly stood up, covered his ears, and stepped back repeatedly. This can't be true. How could this happen? How could the person she had be you? Julian seemed unable to accept this fact. He looked a bit crazy. Honey, I was wrong. Please give me another chance. I really know I was wrong. Let's not get a divorce, okay? Julian suddenly rushed in front of me and knelt down, slapping himself while talking. Honey, if you're angry, you can hit me or scold me. Just don't mention divorce, okay? I can't live without you. I frowned, looking at him kneeling on the ground, without the slightest waver in my heart. Suddenly I remembered the last time he knelt before me, was when he knelt on one knee to put a ring on me at our wedding. At that time, I was receiving the blessings and applause of everyone, completely immersed in my own world. Had I overlooked the reluctant and disappointed look in his eyes? Thinking of this, I raised my leg and kicked him over. I stood up and looked down at him. Julian, don't make me look down on you. If you're still a man, sign the papers. Let's part amicably and not make it too ugly. After saying that, I turned around and went upstairs to my room. The next day, I got up and went downstairs. Surprisingly, I saw that Julian had already prepared breakfast and was waiting for me. When he saw me coming downstairs, a flattering smile appeared on his face. Honey, come and have breakfast. I sat down at the dining table, propped my chin with my hands, and looked at him. Julian, do you cook every time you feel guilty after making a mistake? Julian's body stiffened, and he looked at me at a loss. I continued on my own. As far as I can remember, you rarely cook. In the 3 years of our marriage, I can count on one hand the number of times you've been in the kitchen. Let me think. When was the first time? It was probably 4 months ago. Ava must have come back. You used working overtime as an excuse to accompany her for 3 hours, and the next day you took the initiative to make me breakfast. The second time was on my birthday before. You were supposed to accompany me on my birthday but were late. You were with her watching a movie, right? And then you made me a meal the next day. The third time was. I listed his deeds one by one, tearing off all his false disguises. Julian stood there, looking embarrassed, with his head bowed, not daring to look at me. It's always breakfast every time. The only time you made dinner was when you came back from abroad. You must have slept together, right? Hearing this, Julian quickly defended himself. No, we slept separately. I didn't have anything with her. Honey, you have to believe me. Believe you? I said contemptuously. With the things you've done, would you believe it if you were in my shoes? Julian was stuck for words. His mouth opened, but not a single word came out. Obviously, he also thought his words were not credible. I picked up the porridge beside me and poured it over his head. You know what? From the moment I learned the truth, this is how you look in my eyes, disgusting and annoying. After saying that, I pushed him away and walked out briskly. When I reached the door, I suddenly thought of something and turned around to add, I hope to see the signed divorce agreement when I get home from work tonight. If you're not willing, I don't mind suing for divorce. After arriving at the company, I briefly dealt with the work at hand and then applied for annual leave. The approval came through quickly, and I picked up my bag on the spot and left, going to a nearby law firm. Unexpectedly, the person who received me was the lawyer that Ava had hired before. His name was Henry, probably around 30 years old. When he learned that I was there to sue for divorce, he was taken aback. Henry asked about the reason for divorce, and I didn't hide anything. Miss Evelyn, are you saying that Miss Ava is the other woman? I nodded. What? Do you think she doesn't look like one, or do you want to tip her off? Henry quickly shook his head. No, no, no. No, you've misunderstood. I was just asking casually. If there are no other questions, please help me prepare the materials for the lawsuit, Henry. After signing the contract, just as I was about to leave, I received a message from Ava. Bitch, what did you do? Why isn't Brother Julian talking to me? Bitch. Did you touch Brother Julian's phone and delete me as a friend and block me? Evelyn, I'm telling you, I don't care about your little tricks. The one who isn't loved is the mistress. Just wait to be kicked out by Brother Julian. She sent a lot of abusive messages. And at the same time, she sent a lot of things about her and Julian, trying to break me down. I handed the phone to Henry, and he was stunned when he saw it. Skillfully, he took out his own phone and started recording to preserve the evidence. After leaving the law firm, I went to the mall to buy some things I would need later, and also got a manicure and a full body spa. After all, based on my understanding of Julian, he would surely pester me relentlessly, so I had to get enough rest and energy for this tough battle. When I got home, I found that my parents and Julian's mother had all come. As soon as the three elders saw me, they stood up simultaneously and walked towards me. Julian's mother came forward, affectionately taking my hand and calling me her beautiful daughter-in-law. My parents also had big smiles on their faces, saying that I had worked hard at work and asking me to sit down and rest quickly. I squeezed out of the encirclement of the three of them and saw Julian kneeling on the ground, bare-chested, with a rattan held high in both hands. He had a blank expression, looking solemn, like a fearless warrior going to his death. I twitched the corners of my mouth, not knowing what new trick he was playing. I turned to look at the three people behind me, and they all had expressions of wanting to say something but holding back. My mother stammered for a long time before finally saying, Evelyn, we know everything about you and Julian. Today Julian asked us to come here because he wants to ask for your forgiveness in front of us. It's also a kind of guarantee. Julian's mother nodded in agreement. Yes, yes. You and Julian grew up together. It would be such a pity to get divorced after so many years of relationship. Evelyn, if you're really angry, you can hit him. Just keep him alive. My father also rarely played the peacemaker to comfort me. Evelyn, you're all grown-ups. You should rein in your temper a bit. Julian has confessed everything about him and that woman. He promised that they are innocent. We've seen the chat records between him and that woman. There's really nothing. It's just normal friend-to-friend chat. Julian also slapped that woman in front of us. Don't make things difficult for him. I stared blankly at the three of them, my shock evident. One was a woman who had been betrayed by a man, and the other two were my parents. But now they were all on Julian's side, asking me to forgive him. Julian, as the person involved, made a final summary. Honey, I really know I was wrong. I promise I will never have excessive interactions with other women again. Please give me another chance. You can also hit me until you feel better. As he spoke, he moved 2 steps closer to me on his knees and handed the rattan to me. I smiled slightly and picked up the rattan without hesitation, then whipped it towards Julian. Whoosh! The sound of the rattan breaking through the air came, followed by Julian's scream. I sneered. You're screaming so loudly after just one hit. If I were to hit you until I'm satisfied as you said, you might not survive. Julian supported himself with his hands on the ground. His forehead was sweating from the pain, and a bright red mark ran across his entire back. He gritted his teeth and said, "It's okay. I can take it. Honey, hit me." Just after I whipped him a few more times, blood beads had seeped out on Julian's back, and his face had turned pale. Julian's mother looked at Julian with a pained expression. She wanted to plead for him several times but didn't dare to say anything. It seemed that Julian had done a good job of preparing the three of them in advance. "Evelyn. You bitch." Ava showed up out of nowhere. The moment she saw me hitting Julian, she rushed over and pushed me away. If my mother hadn't been quick-witted and caught me, I might have fallen to the ground by now. Ava threw herself beside Julian, crying as if she had lost her father. "Julian, I'll help you up. Let's go to the hospital." At the next second, Julian pushed Ava, who was beside him, away. Ava stared at Julian blankly, her lips trembling. "Julian, you. What are you doing?" I chuckled aside. "Don't you see? In order to beg me not to divorce, he dragged my parents and his mother here as witnesses, asking me to hit him to vent my anger, just to ask for my forgiveness." Hearing my words, Ava was stunned. "Impossible!" Ava shouted. "Julian, didn't you say you didn't love her and that you just got married to make do? What are you doing now?" As soon as these words came out, the faces of the three parents changed. On the contrary, I was calm as if nothing had happened, just watching the show quietly. Julian raised his head with difficulty and looked at me. "Honey, don't listen to her nonsense. I didn't say those things. The person I love is you. Believe me." By this time, Ava understood everything. She burst out laughing, as if she were a completely different person from before. Julian, are you acting out the drama of a prodigal son turning back? Do you even deserve it?" I nodded emphatically. "That's right. Do you deserve it?" Ava pointed at Julian's mother and shouted, "Do you think I seduced him? Let me show you the truth." As she spoke, she took out her phone, ready to show the evidence. Julian panicked. He made a flying pounce, overwhelmed Ava, snatched her phone, and threw it at the opposite wall. The phone fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. This series of actions happened so quickly that it was over before anyone could react. But the people present were not stupid. Julian's nervousness precisely indicated that he had been hiding something. I smiled. "It doesn't matter. I have evidence too." As I spoke, I took out my phone, opened Ava's WeChat moments, and handed it to the three parents. "Take your time to look. We have plenty of time." Julian struggled to get up, but I stepped on him and pushed him back. "Julian, I'm telling you clearly now. I didn't get this job because you gave it to me. I later verified with the person in charge of the company's interview. He said your professional matching degree was not high, and your in-school simulation experience was not as good as mine. So don't be so self-righteous. And you said you learned to love others. Judging from the current situation, your learning results are mediocre. And you said that as long as the bride wasn't her, it didn't matter who it was. Now that I'm proposing a divorce to fulfill you, what are you making a fuss about?" I exposed all his false love in front of everyone. Julian's eyes widened, looking at me as if he had seen a ghost. "Want to know how I found out about all this?" I pointed at Ava beside me. "For months ago, on the night you said you were working overtime, I received a friend request from a stranger, and I accepted it." She posted all the stories between you two on her WeChat moments. It should have been visible only to me. "I've been liking every post about your touching love story." Ava nodded with a smile. "That's right. I did it all. You said you didn't like her. You said you were tired of this ordinary life. You said that if it weren't for her, you would definitely marry me." As she spoke, Ava suddenly turned to look at me. "Do you know? I deliberately hit you with my car before. He hinted to me to do it." "Evelyn, you had a car accident before?" My mother pulled me over in horror and immediately started checking my condition. I shook my head. "I'm fine. I've recovered." You said you hit my daughter Evelyn with your car. My father rushed forward in one step, grabbed Ava's hair, and lifted her up. Ava grimaced in pain but still forced a smile and said, "Yes, it was your good son-in-law who hinted to me to do it. Even the over 100,000 yuan I gave your daughter as compensation was paid by him for me." Shameless bitch. My father raised his hand and slapped Ava. I quickly stepped forward and pulled him back. Ava's mouth was bleeding from the slap, but she kept laughing. "It's no use killing me. Julian told me to do it." At this point, the three people who originally came to speak for Julian changed their expressions. "Did Julian only tell you that I want a divorce and that I misunderstood him for having a woman outside, and then deceive you into coming here?" The three didn't deny it, which indirectly meant I was right. "Mom, this might be the last time I call you this." I took Julian's mother's hand and said, "It's inevitable that I'll divorce Julian. But what I want to tell you is that you should think about yourself. You've spent the past few decades on the men in Julian's family. But think about it. As the son of his father, Julian has that man's blood and genes. What he did today is something you can't save." I said this to comfort Julian's mother, because the two men in her life had betrayed her. The man she remarried was gay. He tricked her into having a child, snatched the child away after the child turned 3, and divorced her. After that, she spent all her time and energy on Julian. Julian was the pride of her life. But the son she was most proud of did the thing she hated the most: betrayal. After hearing my words, Julian's mother slapped Juliet Weiss and left crying. Julian was in the hospital for half a month before he recovered. After being discharged from the hospital, he finally agreed to the divorce. After coming out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, he looked at me and cried. He said to me seriously, "I'm sorry." I waved my hand. "No need. Don't say such false and useless words. If you really feel sorry for me, you should give me more compensation." To my surprise, he actually nodded and agreed. He immediately found a lawyer to redraft the agreement, gave me 2/3 of the property under his name, and also agreed to automatically transfer 1/4 of his monthly salary to my account. At the same time, he sued Ava, asking her to return the over 100,000 yuan. After Ava returned the money to him, he transferred it to me again, saying that this money originally belonged to me. I thought so too and accepted it with a clear conscience. I sold the wedding house we owned together. The money from selling the house was divided in a 70-30 ratio, with me getting 70 and him getting 30. As for Ava, my parents meant for me to sue her, saying that she attempted murder. They even found a lawyer for me and asked about what to do in this situation. But the lawyer told them that since I had issued a letter of understanding and accepted the compensation, I couldn't sue anymore. The most important thing was that we didn't have evidence. Although the people present heard Davis say that she hit me on purpose, there was no evidence to prove that she said it. There was no surveillance at home, and the testimonies of my parents and mother-in-law couldn't be adopted. So this matter had to be left unresolved. My parents were so angry that they wanted to secretly find someone to beat Ava up. I quickly stopped them and told them that this is a society ruled by law, and there are surveillance cameras everywhere. Once they were discovered, it would be easy for them to get into trouble. After much persuasion, I finally managed to talk my parents out of their revenge plan. After settling my parents down, I went to visit Julian's mother again. As soon as she saw me, she started crying, saying that she was sorry for me and that she, as a mother, didn't raise Julian well. As expected, Julian's mother still couldn't accept that the son she had raised with her own hands had become the person she hated the most. I comforted her for a long time and stayed at her place for a day before she felt better. Later, I had a small gathering with some friends and said a simple goodbye. After everything was settled, it was time for me to leave. When Julian learned that I was leaving, he came to see me overnight. With red-rimmed eyes he asked me, "Are you leaving this place? Is it because of me?" I only came to see him because of the large amount of money he gave me before. I was speechless when he said this. I rolled my eyes and said irritably, "You're overthinking it. You're not that important at all. I'm leaving because I have better development opportunities." He was stunned for a moment and then nodded in disappointment. After that he babbled on a lot, saying things like asking me to be careful when I went to the new city, to find a community with high privacy and security, and to work hard and live a good life. Finally, he said that if I met someone I liked, I should tell him and he would definitely help me judge. When he finished and turned to leave, I called out to him. He turned around, looking at me with joy, and said excitedly, "Evelyn, I knew you had something to say to me too." I nodded and said, "I suggest you go to the hospital for a checkup when you have time. Red eyes easily might be a sign of illness. What if you turn into a zombie later and fight with dogs for food?" After saying that I left without looking back. After arriving in the new city, I was indeed a bit unaccustomed to the food and the local conditions. However, I have a strong adaptability and quickly integrated into the new environment. About 3 months later, a friend of mine told me that Julian and Ava were going to get married. I was stunned for a moment, thinking that after all the trouble they had before, they could still be together. It seemed that they were really in love. My friend asked me cautiously, "Are you okay?" I replied to him, "I'm fine. What could be wrong with me?" Later, my friend told me that they were actually getting married because Ava was pregnant, and she chased Julian to take responsibility. I thought about it carefully. If the child was conceived during the days they went abroad, it would be more than 4 months old by now, and it would indeed start to show. Regarding this, I thought they were a perfect match of a scumbag and a slut and wished them to be locked together forever. Just when I thought everything was over, Julian came to me. He said, "Evelyn, I'm getting married." "Oh, and then?" I replied indifferently. And then asked, "You're not coming here to invite your ex-wife to your wedding, are you?" He shook his head. No. I'm here to tell you that I don't love her. The person I love is you." I frowned and looked at him like he was a fool. "Are you okay? Don't you think what you said sounds familiar? Didn't you say the same thing to Ava when you were married to me, Julian? I really want to ask you, do you have some kind of serious obsession with your ex-lovers? When you were with me, you thought about Ava every day. Now that you're about to marry Ava, you come here and say you love me. If you're sick, go to the hospital. Don't come in front of me and annoy me." Julian was stunned at first, and then he smiled bitterly. "Yes, I'm sick. I'm so in love with you that I can't extricate myself. I'm lovesick." For a moment, I felt like my ears were contaminated. I never thought that Julian was still such an annoying person. "If you have nothing else to do, you can leave," I sighed helplessly. "Since you're going to marry her for the sake of our childhood, I'll give you one piece of advice. Take good care of her and the child. After all, you've already lost one child." Hearing this, Julian's eyes widened. He walked quickly towards me, grabbed my shoulders, and growled, "What did you say? I've already lost one child. What do you mean?" I broke free from his grip, took 2 steps back, and looked at him unhappily. I had just found out that I was over 2 months pregnant. Right after I left the hospital, she hit me with her car, and I lost the child. I was in the hospital for almost half a month. After that, she came to me for compensation, and I gave her all the hospital expense receipts. "Didn't you see those receipts when you gave her the money?" Julian stared blankly, muttering "the child. My child" over and over again. After a while, he burst out laughing. "I killed my own child with my own hands. I really deserve it." I didn't know what was wrong with Julian, so I just turned around and left. Afterward, the friend who attended Julian's wedding said that on the wedding night, Julian beat Ava until she had a miscarriage. Ava had a massive hemorrhage and almost didn't make it. I heard that she finally survived, but she was paralyzed and would never be able to get out of bed again. Finally, I found out that Ava secretly hid a receipt of my miscarriage and concealed the fact that I had lost the child. I thought Julian knew about it and that he could be so heartless as to harm the child for Ava's sake and keep silent. Julian was also sentenced to 11 years in prison for intentional injury. Before he was sent to prison, he wrote me a letter and asked a friend to forward it to me. There were only 2 sentences in the letter. Evelyn, I avenged our child. Evelyn, I'm sorry. I expressionlessly crumpled the letter into a ball and threw it into the trash can. The first thought that came to my mind when I saw the content of the letter was, this crazy person really knows how to make excuses for himself. Later, I watched as the cleaning and collected all the things in the trash can next to me. Just like my messy relationship over the years, it was all taken away and destroyed together like this garbage. I turned my head to look out of the window. The sun was shining brightly, and it was a good day for working people. Evelyn, come to a meeting. Hearing Olivia's call, I stood up and replied, okay, I'll be right there. On a certain day, 5 years and 6 months after I was imprisoned, Evelyn got married. This news was told to me by a brother who still regarded me as a friend. I wasn't surprised at all that Evelyn remarried. She was so outstanding, and there must be many people who admired her. I just wondered who the person she married was, whether he was handsome, whether he could make money, and whether he treated her well. I had so many questions and really wanted to see this man with my own eyes, the man who had won Evelyn's favor and made me envious, jealous, and hateful. The friend who came to visit me seemed to see what was on my mind. He took the initiative to tell me about this man. The man was 3 years younger than Evelyn, a younger guy. But he was very calm and sophisticated. He was the son of a director of one of their new company's partners. It was the man who took the initiative to pursue Evelyn. After courting her for almost half a year, Evelyn finally agreed to him. The two dated for over a year before they decided to get married. Hearing my friend's description of him, I knew that the guy was an outstanding person. I was happy about this. But at the same time, I felt a bit lost. In that moment, I didn't know how to describe my inner feelings. It was as if there was a precious treasure that belonged to me, but I didn't have the ability to protect it well. I could only watch it leave and choose someone better who could protect it. I told my friend about my ridiculous thoughts. My friend looked at me in surprise and asked me why I thought like this. He said that in his eyes, Evelyn was never any so-called precious treasure. Instead, she was a capable and intelligent woman who could protect herself and others. He shook his head helplessly and said something that enlightened me. It seems that you've never regarded Evelyn as your equal, so you ended up losing her. After saying this, he said goodbye and left. He was also going to leave this city to pursue his own happiness. I watched his departing figure, and a huge sense of panic enveloped me. So this was the kind of person I was. It felt like I was seeing myself clearly for the first time, real and ugly. I recalled the time I spent with Evelyn when we were kids, as well as all the days after we reunited when we grew up, and finally looked at my current situation. Suddenly, I understood what Evelyn meant by bringing trouble on oneself. I seemed to have been acting on the chance that even if I made mistakes, as long as she didn't find out, it would be okay. Or even if she knew. Given how much she loved me and seemed unable to leave me, the consequences wouldn't be too serious. I overestimated myself and underestimated her bottom line. I softly replied, I'm outside. I'll be back soon. On that day, I wrote 2 letters. One was to my mother. In this life, I feel ashamed towards my mother and won't be able to fulfill my filial duties. The other was to Evelyn. I didn't know what to write, so I just sent my final blessings. I lay on the bed in the cell, looking at the small patch of sky outside the window, and slowly closed my eyes. In this life, all I can say to her is sorry. Maybe in the next life, I'll love her wholeheartedly with my entire life.